It's the hey
You're
chat
even being
thing.
polite to it. You're
Yeah.
saying
Well,
please and
if you
thank
get
you.
pissy with it, so you can say, I hate those ideas. You know.
Oh, we're gonna ruin it.
What's
Awesome.
up, fellow Earthlings? Austin Hires here. Welcome to the new channel. Today we got a badass roundtable talk podcast thing. And so we've got Roxanne Reinerd, we've got Deanna Williams, and we've got Jacob Hires here to talk about generative AI and what it's all about. What's up, guys? How you guys doing today?
Doing good.
Doing
Good.
good, yeah.
All right, so basically we're just here to kind of chat about it, and I've got a question for you guys to get the ball rolling here. What do you use ChatGPT for right now?
Everything, yeah. I've been using it a lot, primarily for newsletters. It saves a lot of time making newsletters for work. And then I've been having some issues with the liquid coding on my website and getting Shopify or e-commerce to work well with that. And chat has saved me so much time trying to figure that out. So those are probably the two main things I use it for.
Jacob.
And Roxanne, I'll let you go.
Okay.
I was going to jump in, but go ahead.
First of all, I'm a software engineer and I do a lot of websites. So I end up using it for creating copy for websites, outlining websites, SEO for websites, helping explain complex things to computer people who don't have the same understanding of computers that I do. And then I end up using it for normalizing spreadsheets now. That's been a lot of fun. And I could go on all day. I use it constantly. I use it to make images. We made all the background images that you see today.
Yeah,
So
Pretty awesome.
threw one
Yeah.
together for Austin pretty quick there. So
Deanna's got a flower farm and she sells flowers at her North Star flowers. And her background had the flowers. Jacob likes his airplanes.
something. You asked me for some random things, and I was like, "That sounds cool." So let's do
Yeah, that actually I like yours the best, to be honest.
that.
Anyways, I use it all the time.
Definitely
All day.
keep it.
So Jacob, what are you using it for? What are we using generative AI for the most?
I honestly, I was introduced to it beginning of the year, along with everybody else, I think. And I shared it with Roxanne and said, "Hey, this is really kind of cool. Let me show you what it can do. I think it can help you." And we were really focused on the idea that, like, how can it help you with a website? How can it help you kind of rewrite posts or create content, that sort of thing. And we very quickly realized that there's a lot of small businesses out there that aren't going to have access to AI, and frankly, you're scared of it. I wasn't interested at all until somebody said you can't really knock it until you try it.
Which is what you told me.
Yeah. So I passed that on, and Roxanne goes, "Wow, Jacob, this has really kind of changed things." So over the past couple of months, we've had some time to put some websites together, kind of figure things out there. Use spreadsheets to do some really cool formulas. Obviously, jump into things like ChatGPT, and I was gonna say, what other things have we played with? Quite a few.
Yeah, then we went to the Mission West CDC, Ronan CDC, and we taught those classes there. And
Sure.
while we were in class, and the first time the gal touched it, she had to write a description of her job. And she just did an outline, and 2 seconds later, she had a description of her job. And it's so fun to watch that light come on, that
Wow. Yeah, that is cool. That's really amazing. Like I love ChatGPT and generative AI. I don't really understand it that much, so I'm glad I'm on here with you guys. I actually have a lot of questions. But like for you, real quick, is it easy to use? And can you give us like a quick example? Show us how easy is it to use?
What's a question that you have?
So like say I was starting a cleaning business.
So we can say here, Jacob, well, how should we start? I want you to be, Deanna.
Hey, chat. Yeah. I
Hey, chat.
I always talk to it like I'm talking to a person, and I feel like I get quicker, better results that way. It could just be a preference, but it makes it so much easier because then it feels like you're talking to a friend.
I
You're
think
writing a
that really
letter.
comes down to
Yeah.
you're comfortable with things, and you probably don't overthink them, and that kind of comes through for sure.
Okay, so
Yeah,
hey, chat.
that's really cool.
I'm wanting to start what kind of business again?
A cleaning business.
A cleaning business in Florida.
Yeah, let's say Florida.
Okay. What role should we have it being here? I want you to be a business consultant, marketer.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah,
or like a business coach maybe
Okay.
instead of consultant.
Business coach,
perfect.
POACH, and tell me where to start. What should I consider? So what I found out was I have a friend that has manages a 36,000 operations airport in Washington. So I'm talking to Chad about it the first time, and I realized that I had like in with Google, you go through and you do all this thinking, you go to Google, you have a question. So what I was trying to do was to get ahead of my question. So what I did was I said to chat, what should I be asking you about managing an airport with 36,000 operations? And it gave me a list of 10 things that each one was a deep dive.
Wow, that's amazing. I love how you guys are, treating it like kind of like a person. You're like a very smart person.
And it's not always that smart. Sometimes you have to.
No, yeah, it's always that's definitely fair to say is that
So that's a
you have to check
downside.
your.
We could talk about that a little bit here in a little bit, the downside of it.
Sure. Well, one of the downsides as well is you mentioned the idea of like creating a logo, and yeah, we can absolutely do that. And it's fun to play with Mid-Journey, and we like to use ChatGPT to get there, so we get a good prompt for Mid-Journey. However, those images are sitting on a Discord server, and they're public, so laws and stuff probably right now don't protect you to use that in such a way that you can actually trademark it. So there's going to be a lot of kind of legal things that are going on in the future that you really have to consider before creating it, and how involved AI is with what you're creating.
But it
Right?
is like, it's a
Go ahead.
great sounding board. So if you're wanting to develop a logo
Absolutely.
and you do and use AI, you can get really good ideas and either bring them to someone that can develop a logo for you off of ideas that you really like that are already unique, or even, download Adobe Illustrator and try to knock it out yourself. But so
Sure.
even if you can't copyright an image directly from AI, it's really great for inspiration and getting a good starting point.
That's
Absolutely. I
cool.
mean, these
That's
images
cool.
behind us were just kind of, words. And then when you get to see them, you're like, wow, that's actually close to what I was thinking it was going to be. The
Mhm.
exercise that we did right before, we jumped on was you were looking for an executive office with, kind of a presidential feel. And this is what it popped out with. So it's interesting to see
Right.
what
Yeah, yeah, I'm impressed with it. My presidential suite.
Yeah.
So, it comes through here now. We got a business plan, what legal compliance, the operations, the marketing. So it's going to ask you all these questions. One of the things that I have in here on my custom instructions is when I pose a question, please ask me for any necessary clarifications. And
Okay.
that saves me a lot of time in coming in here. So let's just say I want to look at a basic business plan. Okay. You don't have to tell it exactly like with Google, you have to rephrase everything all the time. You don't have to
Okay.
do that here.
Yeah, if you change a couple words, it's very likely the output's still going to be almost the same or similar as far as what it's coming out with, but it's unique each time. You can, kind of control the level of curiosity you have with it. So if you're looking for like kind of the exact answer, something, very to the point, that's one thing. If you're looking for something like more imaginative and creative, you actually kind of tell it, hey, I want something creative. I want you to think outside of the box. I want you to consider. And what it's going to do is really kind of change the pool of words that it's looking at to really adjust and say, okay, this is where they want to be at. So we had some fun one evening with a Southern draw. And what it thinks a Southern draw is very, very kind of, Western comical. And it really kind of puts the conversation over the top. And so we turned that around and said, okay, we want it to sound like Dr. Seuss. And then it was really cool to see how it changed that conversation and adjusted the words that it used and the kind of I don't know, the cadence of it as well.
Maybe
Wow.
Roxanne, ask it if it has any ideas for a business name so that you can come up with a business name before diving into the logo. Because we, in our last class that we had last week, we actually had a business coach who had showed us she used AI as far back as January to help come up with a name for her new business. It was
Yeah,
pretty
absolutely.
cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it helps you kind of like brainstorm from what I'm seeing, and kind of figure out the next question to
Absolutely.
ask to
Yeah.
get to like your end point.
Even if you know the answer, the one thing that's kind of cool is that if you ask, you can tell it, hey, listen, I'd like 15 answers or 15 recipes or, whatever it may be. But you'll always find things on there that you're like, well, yeah, I already knew that, but it's usually pretty good at coming up with some creative other options as well. And so it's always even useful, even if it's not 100% useful.
Right.
After
Well,
Jacob, I'm sorry, Deanne, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't there a saying? It's something along the lines of the first three ideas you have, even if they're really good or ideas that everyone else has already had. And so it's after you've gone through those first three ideas that you really start to discover something unique. So this kind of expedites that process.
Very cool. I love that. So while she's doing that, actually, Roxanne, I heard you chime in.
Yeah, it's just the biggest challenge that I had once Jacob introduced me to ChatGPT. Okay. And I went in here, I was treating it like a search engine. It's not a search engine.
No,
It is not.
you treat it more like an assistant.
Yeah, like an assistant,
Yeah.
it's the
You're
hey
even
chat.
being polite to it. And you're
Yeah.
saying please and
Well,
thank
if you
you.
get pissy with it, so you can say, I hate those ideas.
Oh, we're gonna ruin it. We're gonna
Give
ruin it
me
for the rest of
give
the
me something weird. Okay.
podcast. There it
So
goes.
here's the
You know?
interesting reason. The reason why you ruin it, and they mentioned this comes up in another case that I was just reading an article on, but basically you ruin it because you change the word pools to be kind of a negative word pool because you use the word hate, and it's looking at the words, and it's kind of understanding like words that are similar to hate, and it's going to now add those or give you that feedback back. We had a similar problem when we were actually looking for you had you were writing up information for Tamarac's website, and it she kept telling it, hey, listen, I don't have a spa, there's no spa, there's no hot tub. It
It
would
kept saying I got a
continuously
hot tub.
put it in there, and it was because you were mentioning it that it was actually putting it in there, because
No, it started off and threw it in there without.
it
There's
did.
no hot
That's true.
tub. There's no
That's true.
hot tub. So I said, "There's no hot tub. Stop bringing up the hot tub." Okay. So then it said, even though we don't have a hot tub, I'm going, stop lying. Okay. We don't have a hot tub. Don't bring up the hot tub. And it would not. I mean, but I got pissy with it. Okay.
and
The
it
next
kept
thing I know, I'm
coming
fighting
back.
with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm fighting with it. And I'm also, I'm going, wait a minute. I'm fighting with the computer. This is silly. But the nice thing about it is, and Jacob can explain it to you better,
New chat.
it's a new chat. You just,
New
you're
chat.
done.
Yeah.
Start over.
And it won't remember. It doesn't know one chat from the other.
So in our classes, we try to explain it like you see on the left-hand side there where you have multiple different chats. I like to think of those as like multiple different conversations with a single person in a different room. Like none of them are aware of the other one, or should not be. So the idea that you're talking about recipes in one shouldn't affect the fact that you're talking about Disney World in the other, or whatever it may be.
Gotcha.
They're not related in any way. Now it is possible to fork the conversation within the chat. So we can have a conversation. If it goes off the rails, we kind of spin it back the other way and maybe say, hey, I didn't ask the right question. I want to ask something a little bit different. And when she does that, it's going to create a one or two option down below on the reply where you can see both of the pathways that you started taking. So it does do some of that. And that is a little more kind of like on topic.
Very interesting. That's very interesting. I heard something and I had a question. This is purely just your opinion, obviously, but I heard Google pop up a couple times. Do you think Google's better, or is ChatGPT generative AI better than Google?
They're different.
Google tells the truth more often.
I don't get the same results out of Bard as I do, but they're also new. And you got to think about ChatGPT and how many millions of people have used ChatGPT and continue to use it compared to Bard got started a little later. There's Claude, and there's all these different generative AIs, but they don't have as much of a base of data. It's not of people, but
Sure.
of data.
Sure. Okay. It's had more conversations.
Yes.
Right.
You know, I
Well,
mean, they're different companies with different software, and they kind of serve different purposes. I've actually used Claude quite a bit. It's actually much less robust. It doesn't have the third party pieces. It definitely feels like maybe ChatGPT, as far as the interface goes, was a year ago. However, from the perspective of what it does, it's pretty straightforward. It gives you very, very similar answers. I don't think that it has as broad of a, maybe a reply, and that could just be the way it was built. It could be the model that it was trained after and the data that it was trained after. All of these things are going to be really, really important to what kind of comes out and what it does.
Well, and I think we were like kind of asking, what about like Google versus chat or Google
Sure.
versus AI? And I think I kind of look at it, I mean, you can have Google without AI, but not the other way around. So, I mean, Google's always going to be a little bit better. But the cool thing about chat is, let's say you're trying to research a specific topic, you Google it, you're reading through different articles. Chat can read through all of that in a matter of seconds and then return the information to you in an easier way to understand. So, I don't know, I
Wow.
kind of look at it as more of a tool that you can use for searching information.
We also think that, at least now, I don't know if it changes, because ultimately I think everyone's going to start using generative AI in some way or another. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens with kind of regurgitated information from regurgitated information.
Mhm.
However, from the perspective of what generative AI does for us, we're always fact checking against Google to verify that that information is true. There's a lot of cases where it'll straight up tell you a lie, and you need to know to like look and ask those questions. You basically become a reporter at that point in time, as far as the data goes. And
Right.
for best practices purposes, and for even just the ability to use it. I mean, we've heard of cases where, lawyers are getting up in front of judges and they're handing garbage to them that makes no sense at all, because they
Well,
were
they're
ChatGPT or
they're saying that so and so won this court case. Well, there is no court case, and that person doesn't exist. Chat made it up.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Right. And
you have got to verify.
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
will
that's
deliver it will
Oh
deliver
yeah.
that with so much confidence and no shame.
Yeah.
So Chat GPT 4 has a new function with Dolly. So within chat, you can create images and they're not anything compared to Mid Journey. And so I was just testing it out and I used it to come up with a color palette for a business. And it did, and it had completely made up color codes and color names. And it was like Naphadil and Nern and
Well,
just
that's
these
because
made up.
you said it was supposed to be a crayon maker, and just
Yeah, yeah. But
came
so
up
then
with
I
its
asked
own.
it about it. I said, did you make up these codes? And it just said, yeah, I was being creative.
wow. So
Yeah,
true.
So
That's
you
yeah.
don't.
wild.
The nice thing about this is you don't have to worry about spelling. So I made some spelling mistakes. I said, give me a cleaning logo with 3 cleaners, which I spelled wrong, and a Halloween theme, which I got typos in, right? And
Right.
it doesn't care. So you get where you get really sloppy in your typing, because you really don't have to.
Yeah,
Wow.
as a matter of
You
fact,
Yeah.
don't have to be perfect.
the
So
way
that's
the
one of the
generative
downsides. It has made me the worst typer. I don't proofread anything anymore. I don't, yeah, lots of
Once you
typos.
get that, and as long as you get the idea across, and then you can do it. It's just, if you misspelled it so bad I can't recognize it, you're out of luck.
Yeah.
Right. So Chat GPT might lie to you, but it won't spell any words wrong when it's like, so anything
Yeah.
it types to you.
No, it has spelled the word wrong for me, and I said, "What is
Really?
this?" Yeah. Well, I said, "What is this?" Because with how
Yeah, it's capable of misspelling for sure.
yeah. So there's your
Wow.
give me a cleaning logo with 3 cleaners and a Halloween theme.
I'll ask it for a color palette too. I want to see. I laugh seeing
Oh, very interesting. I like that.
But you don't
Very
have to say
interesting.
what is the color palette of this image. Like in Google, each request is a separate send. Okay, it's a separate question. Where here it's a conversation, so you don't have to give it. So see how it's got where's the color palette, and I can't see. There's an arrow
Right.
over here. Push that down. There you go.
Interesting.
Well, you have to tell it to create. Yeah. So it still gets confused sometimes.
Oh yeah,
All the time.
So give me the hex codes, please.
right.
Okay.
It's interesting that we can say, hey, listen, this thing actually has a degree of like not getting things right, and it's still useful. But there's so many different applications that we found where, in the classes that we've taught, we almost every class have somebody that goes, oh wow, that's really cool, that's going to save me some time, or oh wow, I've never considered using it that way, that's really helpful, you know. So everybody's kind of in the beginning stages of playing with it, and
Right.
it really does come down to, you know, converting things to numbers. So it's not actually in comparison understanding the words that it's saying, it's simply putting words in order to make a sentence, and it's really good at it, is kind of the basic idea.
You asked.
I know. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it's given us here.
Well, first of all,
It
it
looks like
says
it's
Halloween cleaning, and cleaning is not spelled right. Right.
Oh God.
So there you go. You
Is
know,
that because, is that the way you spelled it?
I don't think so.
nor no. Halloween's not spelled right either. What is that E with the E?
Oh yeah, Halloween
It's
is spelled
a
wrong.
FE. It's for Mr. FE. That's
Wow,
great.
that's actually really impressive, I have to say.
And then
And
it started doing a color palette, maybe a temperature gauge, but not with actual temperatures.
And not with an actual color palette. You know, it's not perfect. It is not, you know, and
No.
Dally is
Oh, it's a baby.
it's a baby.
Yeah.
You know, it is just a baby. And we are, you know, we teach these classes, but we're not going in there and saying, hey, we're the experts in the field. We're not.
No.
All we're trying to do is be one step, you know, as we're learning stuff, we're trying to teach businesses and other people, hey, you can do this. Deanna, how many hours did it save you the first week?
Oh my gosh, probably 20 hours in the first week because I had 5
Wow.
newsletters I had to pump out that week.
wow.
And
Yeah.
not only that, but you not only were like, hey, yeah, this is what I did, but the people actually responded back to it more positively than the ones you sent out prior. So
Yeah,
you're
we had
as well.
higher click through rate on the newsletter. I think it went from like 13 to 27. It doubled.
And that's what happened with Tamaracks is once I went through and updated their website and did all the SEO in here. And it's not like I don't know my stuff. I've been doing this for 30 years, you know, and their click-through rate went through the roof. And you're considering that, you know, a cabin is going to be from $300 to $500 a night. It made them a lot of money. So
Wow.
it's, I mean, it's
we
really
hope
cool
it did,
stuff.
put it that way.
Yeah. Well,
Right.
you know, I
So
could
speaking of ChatGPT and generative AI, did you guys know that Adobe has now got a beta, like a testing generative AI where it'll like generate pictures for you, just like
Yeah,
ChatGPT?
I've played with that a little bit. It doesn't know its dinosaurs very well. Or it's birds, but it's pretty fun. You have to really watch what you do with the prompt. So you'll see on Instagram a lot of the reels pop through and they make it look so easy where they're seamlessly adding castles or adding this or changing the sky. And it probably took them a couple tries to really get that to work. But it's really cool what it can do. And especially I'm not extremely skilled in Photoshop, so I'm a huge fan of whatever they're doing in beta with AI.
Oh yeah,
So
I'm impressed. I'm using it to make thumbnails for YouTube, or rather, I'm practicing to start using it on thumbnails.
Yeah.
So this has been a lot of fun in creating these images. So these are some of the images that we created in
Oh wow,
Midjourney.
so
I like the Yoda one. That's
the
great.
Yoda one. The
Yeah.
Yoda one is one of my dear friends. Okay. And let me
Fantastic.
get the video here for a second. So I did,
just to clarify, this was an image that you gave it and had it altered, correct?
right. I took an image of Daisha and she loves Yoda. She just loves Yoda. Okay. So this is what Midjourney came up with. So then I put it over in Runway, which then takes an image and makes a video out of it.
Animates it.
So
Yeah.
now you've got now
Movement.
it's hot. Yeah, now you've
Next
got a
will be
video.
holograms.
But it will do a 20-second video or longer, and people are making little mini movies.
It's very cool.
So it's, if you watch a regular movie, about every 20 to 30 seconds, they end up changing the picture. So with this, you can go through and you can make a little movie. And I have not had, you know, I also have a job and a life, and I have not had time to explore all the avenues. But I thought this was really cool.
It exploded. I mean, there's so many different ways to play with it, even within ChatGPT and 4, where you have plugins that you can use, and those plugins kind of give you extra ability to do additional things. Think of it as like kind of a Chrome extension. There we saw when it was like 3 pages and it's now like 75 pages, and that's just within ChatGPT. Now outside of that, all the different companies that are using ChatGPT and all these other services, generative AI services, and building on top of them, it's hard to keep up with them. It's kind of a big area right now where everybody's spending money as far as startups and that sort of thing.
So I went through this is Sleep Better Montana, one of my clients, and I actually went here for a sleep test, but they want everything to be in lavender. And lavender, I like purple, but I, doing a website. So what I did was I went into Mid-Journey and I said, I need a lavender, subtle lavender themes. And this top image, this image, this image, this is actually a little boy. But notice the purple, we left out, the little boy had purple on his neck. Okay.
Wow.
But all this, trying to describe, these guys are prosthodontists, they're highly educated, and trying to get them to describe what they're doing in layman's terms was incredibly difficult. I've been doing their websites for 20 years, and with ChatGPT, I can give it an outline, and with the correct cues in here, I can get the content. But what I liked is that the purple from the Mid-Journey pulled the whole thing together.
Mm-hmm.
And that was powerful.
Yeah, that's super amazing. I like that website a lot, and it just shows what ChatGPT and generative AI can do. So we're coming up on the last question here, and we've been talking about how fast it's growing. Basically, this went from and you guys might have lost me there. My camera just died, but can you hear me still?
We can
Yeah,
still
we can hear you.
Okay, so
But you're holding really still.
yeah, I froze. So basically we're like, I've seen ChatGPT go from this website that crashes every 5 minutes and you can barely use it to these amazing like pictures that it's creating now, and it's staying available to use and no longer crashing and just becoming like this huge thing. So my question is, what do you guys think ChatGPT looks like in the future?
They say that in 3 to 6 months, we are not going to be able to recognize where AI is and where it's not. And
Wow.
That's going to be interesting. It's going to have a lot of repercussions in a lot of areas, but it's also beyond, a lot of that is beyond everyday control. So what I tell my clients and the people that I'm working with is, I'm going to use this tool to benefit the people and keep it on a positive basis. And that's where I'm going to focus my energy on.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'll kind of piggyback on that. That's kind of where our classes that we do with SOAR with AI, I think, are so valuable, is that we're showing how to use AI as a tool. We're not making it its own entity. It's not overstepping really any ethical boundaries. I know that there's a lot of concerns with that, but it's really just an incredible tool. And as a small business owner myself, I can't think of the time and money that I would have spent trying to work on the little things that aren't my favorite parts of my business. And having that tool in my tool belt has been just invaluable. So I hope that it just kind of stays on that track. And if it doesn't, I will just live in this delusional world where it's this wonderful tool that makes everything better.
It's like anything else. There's positive and negatives. You can focus on one, or you can,
Yeah, well, and I would say my favorite thing that I've gotten from chat is I feel like it has made me more comfortable just flat out asking people questions in conversation, through work, things like that, because you get so used to asking questions, and when you're doing it in the form of a conversation, I think it just makes you more comfortable asking questions. And then if you can bring that into the workplace and everyone's comfortable asking questions and learning, that's just awesome, because I think a lot of questions go unasked.
I agree. Yeah. I was
the
gonna
other
say,
thing that's nice is I'm sorry, Jacob.
Oh, go ahead.
We
is
won't
that
let you talk.
you want to let you talk, Jacob. Is that you can ask the questions that you're not comfortable asking in public. You know, that you think that if you ask the programmer or you ask whoever this question that they're going to think you're dumb, you can come in here and ask and have this dialogue and learn about the topic.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that now Jacob will let you talk. Hurry though.
Yeah.
No, I was going to say, I think in general, I don't know where ChatGPT is going to go. I think that there are plenty of, people in the market right now that are competing for kind of the same thing. I think they're placed really well as far as what they're doing. It seems like most of the things that they create are, pretty well accepted, at least from my perspective and from the people that I've worked with. But overall, I think ultimately we're going to see this in kind of every aspect. I mean, you're already seeing it in, chatbots that interact with. I went through a drive-through the other day and I spoke to an AI. It was not a person. They were simply listening on the other side, putting my food in the basket, but I never spoke to them at all. They never interrupted when I asked questions over and over again because it didn't work very well at the time. But I can see where it's going. And I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think that, technology is always kind of that fine line.
Wow. So I think the moral of the story is generative AI lies and so do humans. Who do we
Yeah.
believe more?
You gotta remember, it's getting a lot of its information from the web, and the web is full of misconceptions and lies.
Or
Yeah,
just
well,
biases in general. Things just aren't things aren't
right.
produced in the same numbers, and so that information was fed in, and most of the information that we see in AI, especially in these large data pools that they have, these large language models, came from scraping the internet. So they were scraping the good, bad, and the ugly,
Right.
and so the
Right.
results there now, as they come through and create new versions, that they're trying to clean up those things and fix those and try to kind of add new information to these large language models so that they become even larger, and in doing so, hopefully it helps to correct some of those things that are there.
Well,
The interesting.
I could have
Go ahead, Dan.
misunderstood, but wasn't one of the biggest data scrapes for chat originally Reddit?
It was on the list of large.
Kind of.
Matter of
That's
fact,
why it
They
gets,
read it a little
that's
bit.
why it gets weird sometimes.
they've changed some policies actually since then to protect their data, I think. But yeah, I agree. It's an interesting place to be for sure right now as far as the internet goes.
The interesting thing, my husband read an article, I think it was NPR that the article was on, was that when they tweaked the code for ChatGPT, they then check to see how it does with prime numbers. And if it, I don't know which test it is, and there's a couple of different ways to check for prime number consistency. But when it doesn't do that correctly, they have to go back and figure out what's going on with it, that they're tweaked. So I'm a programmer. It's not as easy to tweak something that is like this as what you would think. So that's going to be an interesting little twist. But yeah, check your prime numbers. And if it's screwing up, they're playing with the code.
That this is all so interesting. I think that I've learned a lot today already just from talking to you guys this short 30 45 minutes. Hopefully the viewers that watch this are going to learn a lot, and if they do, where can they find you guys and maybe take one of your classes?
We have classes set up at Soar with AI, which is our website.
Say it again.
Soar with AI.
Soar with AI. I like that.
Soarwithai.com. So similar to the other websites that we've created, a lot of this content, most of it has been generated just so we can kind of show off some of the things that we've learned and some of the things that we've seen.
Now, when we say generated, that doesn't mean that we went in and said, give me all the content for this website.
No.
We had a plan. There's work that goes in here. We are in here as well as Soar with AI.
Absolutely.
But if you go to classes, we have 2 classes coming up. This ChatGPT for business owners, which also works for anybody that wants to learn about chat. And we have the website competitor analysis, and we've got a couple more coming online for data analysis and using the new tools and images. So if you're interested, you can register here. And we do go into businesses. So we've did MT Solar, we sat down with their whole staff, and that was really cool because
Sure.
everybody is interested and we have one subject matter. So we go into businesses and sit down and teach them how to use chat, and then they can support each other.
That's amazing. I like what you guys are doing. I like that you're teaching it. You're not telling people that you're experts and that you know everything about it and that you're learning along with everybody else, but you're just there to help and kind of, I think you're ahead of the curve, and I think you guys are really really doing amazing with this. So good job. And I thank you guys for joining today and having this chat with us.
Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
fun.
Hopefully it's contents that, gets out to somebody who thinks it's interesting, and love to hear what people are learning. That's the best part.
Beautiful. Well, peace out. Peace out, everybody watching. We'll see you next time.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.